So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Sharon Whiteman, and it's my great pleasure and privilege to be here today with these amazing gentlemen. And I just lost my video. There I am. Big warm welcome to all of you, and thank you for immediately putting your hand up to be here on this really important topic. So right now in Australia, we're heading into a week called Men's Health Week. And the focus today is all about men staying healthy naturally and what solutions are out there. We're going to start with some of the challenges. So please excuse me as I share my screen. Go. And Dan, if I can ask you to watch the chat, because I don't have enough space on my desktop to have everything open. So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Sharon Whiteman, and I partner every week with Dinah Hunter and Gary Knapp to spend an hour with the Australasian community for Mannatech on Saturday mornings. And very often we have, obviously Singapore, New Zealand attendees, but also around the globe. We love this topic. We love being here with you. And a little bit about me. I'm a retired critical care nurse. I had 3 certificates in critical care. And my last job, I was paid I had a nursing unit manager job, but I also was paid as a clinical nurse specialist. So I was highly proud of that career. Loved it. Obviously nurses do a good job, don't we? And, but then I had a wake up call with my health, and I was introduced to this company at a dinner party. And I had a very fatiguing illness, and I thought, I was so skeptical, and I tried to reject this information because I thought, if this was so amazing, why would I be hearing about it at a dinner party, and why wouldn't I already know about it? So suffice it to say, I was humble enough to say, well, I'll look at the information. I did, and it just made sense to me that our food is less nutritious than it used to be, that the foundation of cellular well-being is the right nutrients, the right building blocks. And I thought I had nothing to lose. I gave it a go, and I returned to full health, vibrant health within a couple of years. And I found myself not being able to stop talking about it. So we're here to introduce Mannatech to you, and specifically the benefits of Mannatech for men's health. You can see on this front page here that we've got, there's quite a range of well-being and reach that we have at Mannatech. Our values, I can hand on heart 100% commit to and align with the values of this company. We're a giving company, we're an ethical company, we're a responsible company. And that gentleman on the bottom that you see there, Dr. Steve Nugent, who will be our speaker next week, is just one amazing man. He's President Emeritus of the American Naturopathic Medical Association. I might be missing one word there, but ultimately he's highly regarded as a naturopathic doctor, and he's gone on to get multiple other degrees, and he is guiding our well-being in a very knowledgeable and well-researched way. So we're going to touch on, as I said, some of the challenges we're facing with our health right now. What is wellness? I know I didn't have the correct definition, and I've learned more. And the benefits of a science breakthrough that emerged in the 80s, actually. And, I think the biggest message that if anybody takes anything away from today is that the power is in your hand. You have way more power in your hands to impact your level of well-being than we've been led to believe. So I think it won't come as a surprise to anybody that our immune system's in trouble. There's unprecedented chemicals in the world today that are impacting. They're not tested. There is, because of changes in how we're looking after the soil and a loss of some of the ancient knowledge, our soil, we're doing mass factory farming, and that's not helping the nutrient content of our food. So even if you're doing your best to eat really well and include a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables into your diet, those fruits and vegetables are now proven to be significantly declining in nutrient content. In fact, insufficient to maintain well-being. And the other thing is that we're, as you know, this is probably a bit of my values and it might be my opinion, but I think sometimes as a human race, we're a bit arrogant and we start playing around with food. And so there's a lot of now genetic modifications. Some of them would enhance food, but some of them diminish it. And we really don't have sufficient food labeling laws to really being across it. Plus, anybody else like me feel like you need a PhD to understand food these days. It's not simple anymore. So the most dangerous place, if anything you see from this slide, sometimes the most dangerous place for your health and well-being is the grocery store. And, you know, there's really most of us have only 1 or 2 aisles left that will even go down if you're being an informed consumer of food. So, and the other thing is that what's not linked in our knowledge base is the decline of nutrient matching the decline of the well-being of our national health, of everybody's health. So, you know, we used to think malnutrition looked at the picture on the left, but modern day malnutrition at a cellular level looks like the pictures on the right. You know, and I've learned, I'm in my 60s now, and we always have a bit of a laugh here that, you know, we go to our reunions, and any of us that have been on, I've been consuming Mannatech nutrients for coming up 23 years this year, I believe. And I don't look the same as people my age. And even though I had significant health challenges, significant genetic challenges with autoimmunity, my well-being and how I look is not my age, everybody keeps telling me. And that's the sort of like watching grass grow kind of benefit of ensuring that you have really good cellular nutrition on board to the best of our ability. So what is healthy? You know, the bottom line is it's something that we need to redefine and need to change how we think. I know as a nurse, and even in my family, my mother to this day will only listen to a doctor, and she thinks of them as gods, and she'll do anything they say. You know, when I had a wake-up call, I mean, and I was raised that way, I believed that medicine was great, and it still is, but there's some significant gaps when it comes to wellness. And so I was raised just to keep going. I would have multiple symptoms, and if I could still drag myself to work, that was my definition of healthy. And I had to be significantly, and if on reflection, I probably declined over a couple decades to get to the place when I crashed without recognizing the warning signs, and had no knowledge of how to work with my body during those times, and that I did have power in my hands. And that's my most passionate space right now, is to make sure people know, not everybody's ready, but people know that they do have power in their hands to be more well than they are right now and to maintain their wellness. So my call to action is that we have to look at our health and well-being in an integrative way, which is the best of modern medicine. There's lots of good things that we do there, but ultimately we need to be including complementary and natural methodology in partnership with that. So obviously it starts, number one here, with modern advice on dietary choices. So that's changed as well. I don't know if you've noticed, you know, a lot of fads have come by, you know, good fats, bad fats, about carbs, about sugar, and really you need to look further than your government or your dietitian, because they still aren't up to speed, and they're usually about 20 years behind what research is proving. So the most contemporary advice is this pyramid. So you can see that whole grains, really healthy, low GI whole grains, fruits and vegetables should be the foundation. Then clean fish, poultry, eggs, cheese, yogurt, and meat. And obviously some people need to remove all those, some of those, depending on your genetics and your dietary choices. Wine in moderation, that's my favorite part about this slide. Drink lots of water and make sure your water is clean as well. But also it's now absolutely proven that a diet alone is not enough, and that we need to supplement, and you need to be choosy about what you supplement with. Choose quality. You know, buying your supplements is definitely not the place to be bargain shopping. You know, bargain shopping, isn't there great bargains right now? You can buy anything. You can buy clothes for $5. But for your supplements, for your well-being, for the vibrancy of your cells, bargain shopping is not a smart choice. So the breakthrough that I mentioned, you know, Mannatech has a lot of breakthrough technology, but I just want to talk about briefly the foundation. And this is something called nutritional glycans. And ultimately, there's a 75% deficiency in our modern diet of these well, I think we're supposed to say necessary, but these nutritional glycans are responsible for every messaging, every function, every cellular process in our body, whether it's cleansing, protecting, all those things that you require on your body invisibly to do requires an abundance of this nutrient, and it's now not readily available in our modern diet. There's only two that's readily. Our body can manufacture them, but it's a very labor intensive process. And if I've watched thousands of people over the last 20 years partner with Manitech for their well-being and notice consistently their increase in energy levels, you can tell one of the reasons is that their body no longer has to manufacture some of these because they're being supplied by their diet by taking this nutrient. And if you look us up on the internet, you'll see lots of controversy, and suffice it to say, it's because the science was challenged. You can see there, this company started, I think, in the late 80s with the pharmaceutical scientist, and patents were issued. The science was questioned. We were vilified in the science media, and now they've all just scurried off into their corners because our science has been proven accurate and effective. So you might recognize this guy from the news. He's running around with President Trump these days, but he had a health challenge himself and was introduced by someone he trusted and really endorses these nutritional glycans for your well-being. So the bottom line is here, before we open to speak with some of our guest speakers, is that, I think this is a perfect slide for men. I should have put a high performance vehicle car on here or something, but if your body is a high performance vehicle, and most of us have never been educated to treat it in that way. So, you can start to lose your performance or be putting, less than optimal fuel into your high performance vehicle. Nobody would do that for a car they spent, a couple $100,000 on in these fancy cars, but we don't think about that in the same way for our body. And so making better dietary choices to the best of your knowledge and ability, and that happens over time for some people, plus adding a broad-based nutritional supplement that's, most of ours where possible is food-based, is the way to maintain your optimal health. And so this is the whole benefit of today. We get to hear from, there's no other way to learn about a technology really than from people who have benefited. So I know we've got Michael and Aaron and Stuart. We're going to go first. So I will just go alphabetically. Aaron, just double check to see if you've got, just unmute you, Aaron. You right to go? Fantastic, Aaron. So I know you've had a lot of benefits in your family from integrating this nutrients into your life. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so my wife was introduced to the products back in July last year. It was really good. She had some really massive results regarding weight loss, and I thought I'd jump on in to it. I think weight loss is really critical for men, especially when it comes to this Men's Health Week. Having that extra bit of body weight really is a challenge for men. I think a lot of men out there don't really care too much about what their body image is, but really deep down inside that they do. And I was certainly one of those men. And yeah, so when I jumped on the True Health system, I had massive results. I ended up losing 14 kilos in 8 weeks, massive results. And now after this COVID-19 thing, I'm now back into it again. So yeah, I think weight loss is really critical for men.
Fantastic. And you've gone on to help your children with that as well too, haven't you, Aaron?
Yeah, so you just seeing what the products do. I've got my young daughter on it. She's on all the Ambrotose products. I'm now on the Catalyst product. I'm now on the Plus product. I'm now on the Bounce Back product. I've only just started that one. All these products are just great. You just gotta listen to what Dr. Nugent says about the products, and you just gotta say, gotta have them.
Has it impacted your mental health at all? emotional
Yeah,
stability, or have you noticed that?
it certainly has. I found that that once I lost the weight, the mood changes. You know what I mean? It's just mental health for men is, as probably the guys are going to talk about too, is not really talked about too much. You can ask a guy how they're doing, and they're going to say okay, anyway. But deep down inside, like I said, there's that thing inside that the men really need to do. But I found that once I lost the weight, the activity was up, my rest was better, just my general health was better, my clarity was better. It was just, yeah, it's really noticeable that just the True Health system anyway, if guys are carrying those extra few kilos, is really important to lose.
And it's
And
really,
it makes you kind of feel good.
yeah, it's a really easy system to implement into your life too, isn't it? That's what I found.
Oh yeah, it's just easy. Just follow it. Simple as.
Fantastic. Erin, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Okay. And Michael, so I've had the privilege of meeting you and hearing your story. It's really powerful. Can you tell us how Manatech has impacted your life?
Yeah, absolutely. So I had a traumatic injury. 20 years ago, I was actually diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, might be classed as an irritable bowel disease also. About 2 years ago, I felt unwell. I pulled over on the side of the road and I vomited, which I thought was a natural response, but I had an unnatural occurrence. I tore my esophagus, which is the tube from your mouth to your stomach. And so that started a course of events. I had major trauma surgery. I had a bowel resection. I spent 3 months in hospital, 6 months not eating conventionally. And yeah, that's when Manatech entered my life. I wish now I'd started 20 years ago like you, Sharon. Yeah, if I'd started then, I probably wouldn't have got to the point that I was at. So basically, my Manatech story is probably appropriate that Rachel Davey is at the bottom of my screen there, because Rachel was the one that, you know, they say behind every good man is an even better woman, and Rachel started my journey. She actually sought out Manatech to support herself. She was my support partner in hospital through my health challenges. And, you know, when Rachel actually was called to action, she sought out our upline, our Platinum Presidential upline, you know, Rod Gilchrist. And Rod actually blessed us. He actually gave us some product. And I was actually on an enteric feed, so I was only eating through a tube, through my nose, right down into my small intestine. And we had some discussion with Rod, and we decided it was going to be okay to actually introduce Manopol and Nutraveris. And when I actually introduced that technology into my body, I actually had really great results. So prior to that, as I say, I was on like I suppose a formula, and it was being pumped into my body. It took about 14 hours a day to get my calorie load and stuff. And it should have been on paper. It was really good stuff. It was the equivalent of eating about 3 Big Mac meals a day in calories. But my body wasn't doing anything. I was wasting away and fading away. And it was at that point Rachel so reached out to Rod and Manatech. And that's where my story turned around.
Thank God for wives and nurses.
Oh, absolutely. You're the most blessed. I'm a firefighter, and I have the utmost respect for nurses. In my time, and my beautiful wife, you are just the most wonderful human beings on the planet.
And Michael, I know your wife, Rachel, the first time I met you, you were very gaunt and you still had your tube feed in.
Yes.
Your wife, Rachel, she worked in conjunction and partnership with Western medicine as part of your recovery, didn't she?
Yes, she did, yeah. But Rachel could see that the conventional system, modern medicine, it wasn't working in my body. I was on a declining phase. I'd had a bowel resection, so I had 2 areas of healing. They took out a rib. They cut open my body from both sides on the back behind my shoulder blades to get in and clean me out. When I tore my esophagus, my stomach contents and acid visited my heart and my left lung, which, as you know, is a sealed unit, so that shouldn't happen. But basically, yeah, the surgeon said to me, you'll never return to work. You'll definitely never be a firefighter again. You'll probably have problems eating solid food, and you may need some assistance with breathing, with oxygen and stuff like that. So that was the best case scenario from my surgeon, which is not very encouraging. But you know, my story is I'm working again. I am a firefighter. I have no problems breathing, and I love my eating.
Yay. What a celebration that is. Michael, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing that story.
My pleasure.
And Stuart.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Sharon, for giving us the opportunity to speak for everyone this morning. I guess my story, it started back in my teens, probably 16, 17 years of age. I developed quite a few joint problems, and over the years, I've had to give up quite a bit of my lifestyle. I've been put on so many pharmaceutical drugs over the years just to combat the symptoms and what it was doing to my body. I was on chemotherapy drugs. I was popping Panadine Forte like Tic Tacs just to get by. I was on anti-inflammatories, suppositories, which aren't a lot of fun, as you can imagine. And yeah, life was pretty bad. You know, I had some very dark days. You talk about mental health, especially with Men's Health Week coming up. I had some pretty dark days over the years, and it took a lot to actually get used to talking about this sort of thing without leaking from my eyes. But the darkest days, I was ready to end it all. You know, it was pretty bad. I mean, at times, just sleeping, I couldn't even sleep with a sheet on. You know, it was just the weight of the sheet was too much for me. And probably the very worst of it all came when my eldest boy was born. He's just turned 15. And when he was born, I actually wasn't physically strong enough or could handle the pain to actually nurse him and do the things that a new dad should be able to do with their kids. You know, it was heartbreaking. It's actually my mum that came across these products at a market in town, and she came and said, you know, Stuart, you got to have a look at this stuff. The science, it just makes sense, you know. So I flatly refused. I've been down the natural path so many times, and I've never found anything that actually worked. You know, it's just sort of, if anything, it probably made things worse, if anything, over the years. But like all good mothers, you know, she kept at me and at me and at me, and I guess she broke me finally. But I actually, to be honest, I actually started taking the products just to shut her up. And I was taking a lot of the product. I started on the Core 4. It was Core 4 back then. And I was using a lot of the Ambritose, the glyconutrients, as you said in the beginning at the start of the slides. Cellular communication is just a godsend. It's just that's what we're made up for. You know, that's what our cells are designed to do. And once you start putting this stuff back in, it's incredible what your body's capable of doing. I was taking it 3 times a day, basically a tablespoon of Ambritose 3 times a day at the start. And it was probably around the 7-month mark of being on the products that I'd actually noticed a big enough difference in myself. Because, you know, you do notice changes as you go along, but I was starting to do things that I hadn't been able to do for 10, 15 years, you know, and it's around the 7-month mark, I actually started backing myself off the drugs that I was on. My rheumatologist at the time didn't believe anything that I was telling him, and I showed him all the information. He just poo-hooed it. Just said, it's just expensive urine, mate. You're wasting your money, you know. But the proof was in the pudding. The stuff that I was doing was just, I was gobsmacked, you know. And it's gotten to the stage now. I mean, apart from the COVID stopped us this year. I've been back on the soccer field this would have been my 6th season back on the soccer field. And I hadn't been able to run around on a soccer field since I was 16 years of age, you know. and I'm absolutely loving it. I love my fishing. Most people on here probably know how much I'm into my fishing. And I've got into game fishing and there's days on the boat before I started taking the products where I was just making up numbers. I was lucky to stand up. I was basically having to just brace myself on the boat, and I couldn't partake in any of the activities, helping fight fish and all the stuff that was we were doing it for. But now, I mean, you can probably see that one up on the wall. The shark I actually landed and brought in. I'm catching everything from bream to marlin and sharks. It's absolutely fantastic, and doing everything I can with my kids. We do everything together, and it's given me my life back, and it's just phenomenal. Love it.
Stuart, that's amazing. And there's so many lives regained, right?
Absolutely.
You can hear from your previous lives there was a quality that wasn't there, and now in greater or lesser degree there's this incredible quality comes in. And I just want to add one thing at this point, because we're going to bring in 2 more speakers in a sec. But I just want to say, as a mother, I've worked really hard to teach my sons about nutrition and supplementing and wellness and the responsibility for their choices around how they feel. And it's required some bribing at times. And it's, obviously as they're younger, every bottle they had nutritional glycans in it, every single bottle. They've been able to, and then went to sipper cups. Now they're teens and tweens. And we've got now, it's linked to pocket money. I go and check, I put out 7 days worth of supplements, and I go and check, and there's a few little threats and bribes if it's, at the end of the week, they haven't been consistent. But I'm also teaching them, starting to help them notice what a difference it makes and how they're amongst the healthiest of their peers. I prefer that they actually get the colds and flus going around so they can build their immunity, but their experience of those colds and flus is a small percentage of their peers. And that brings the power back into our hands, doesn't it? Where we can really, and I'm hoping, I'm still working on it, but I'm hoping to create a legacy where these young men will have a different viewpoint. And the other thing that's been dramatic is our phytosterol product called Plus. My goodness, for the hormonal swings, I've got a little firecracker boy, and he's feisty. And when he goes off, I say, have you had your Plus today? And I go look at his little thing. And I said, looks like a few days missing. And one day he was really, really, he didn't have any sense of control over his feelings at all. And I said, listen, I won't say his name because it may haunt him in the future. But I said, listen, you need to take this, and I want you to notice the difference in your body. It's going to put you back in the driver's seat with your strong feelings. And unbeknownst to me, he took 3 days worth. And it was like a miracle, really. He came in like it's some kind of swooning, like this. Anyway, the next day it was night and day. And even we had a friend staying here during COVID times. So she wasn't on her own, and her jaw dropped the next day because she'd witnessed all the dynamic of the day before. So, and that's, wouldn't every child want to be in charge of their feelings? To be in the driver's seat. It's not to diminish strong feelings, but to be in charge and be in the driver's seat is such an important legacy for us to pass on. So I'm just going to share the screen now. So sorry if that's a bit disruptive, because there's got a couple more slides here. Here we go. So one of the things that is important about Mannatech is that we're a bigger mission. I mentioned in the beginning that I really align my values with Mannatech, heart and soul. And, some people also, well, myself included, I went on to be so suspicious, and then went on to embrace Mannatech as part of the income for our family. There's been times when it was the major income, and there's been times when stuff happened in my life. But it's always been the foundation of support for us. We rely on it. We get more, way more than free product, but we've always had free product, and we are able to give back. I've never harmed a soul by sharing this technology with someone. Some people say yes, some people are not interested, and that's fine. I'm just here to offer. So Manatech also has solutions depending on what you're looking for in life, purpose, giving back. We've got a great mission, which I'll touch on in a sec. Time, I'm able to stay home and look after my kids. I'm able to work my schedule around them. That's priceless. Travel, there's incredible incentives. I've been on an Alaska cruise, a Caribbean cruise. I've been to China, all over the place, all around the country as well. And it's such a blessing to experience that. I also am heading, obviously I'm an older mom, and I'm heading into retirement. And I have a security, that residual income that comes in. I'm still working in helping my partners in this business and also my customers, and they're continuing to be blessed with the longevity of the commitment to Manatech. So there's a lot more to Manatech for depending on what you're looking for. There's many solutions. So I want to invite, I can see Hank. So Hank will go first, and then we'll stop with Gary. So Hank, I think you're still muted. I'll just unmute you. I'll stop the share. You right there, Hank?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Yeah. How you going, guys?
We're good.
Yeah, so I'm doing Bounce Back. Must say that I've had results. We've been with Manatech a bit over 20 years ourselves, and I've had phenomenal results with our first group of products. Talking about your plus, I had a very stressful job at one time, and I was taking up to 12 a day. And you could actually feel the internal jitters stop. But coming back to Bounce Back, I actually hurt my back and couldn't work for 2 years. Couldn't travel, couldn't do anything. And I ended up having to, I tried everything. I just didn't go on any anti-inflammatories. But I got to a point where I just leveled out and I wasn't getting any better, and Bounce Back come along. And I started taking the Bounce Back, and it was interesting because I used to do a lot of skiing, and I took a mate of mine that didn't get the grasp of snow ploughing, so I put him in behind me and tried to show him how to snow plough, and he didn't get, then I had to take him all the way to the bottom, and my knees were like they were on fire, and I was like that forever. But when I started on Bounce Back, one of the things that I noticed was that my internal body started to ache for about 6 weeks. I felt like I went backwards, and then I started to climb out of it. And one of the first things that I noticed was that when I used to put the wheelie bins out, we lived on a hill, and when you walk down, your knees would burn, and they'd burn on the way back up. That went away. I haven't had that problem since. I don't know how long I've been. 2003 is when I hurt me back, but just probably 2 or 3 months ago, I actually stopped taking the Bounce Back just to see how I was going. And I reckon I've taken it about 2 or 3 times. I still have a sore back, but I know how to manage it now. But where I was told I had to have an operation, I didn't do that. But with the Bounce Back, I swear by it. I think it's one of my favourite products, including the Plus. And at the moment, I'm taking the superfood, a drink of superfood with a teaspoon of Ambitose. I absolutely love it. I come in through the day if I'm a little bit worn out or tired, I'll take a drink of that, and it's like a second lease of life. It's absolutely brilliant. Love it. And yeah, all their products are great. I can certainly, as I said, I've had heaps of different results over the time we've been on it.
Fantastic. And you and your lovely wife, Lynn, have been blessed by the business as well, haven't you?
Yes.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi, Sharon.
Sorry, yes.
Yes. So tell us about your choice for the business. Was that a tough choice for you, or what did you?
I had no choice. It was interesting because our daughter, when I was working away Mount Hotham, I was working, only coming home every second weekend and doing the summer ski buildings. And my daughter rang me to say that she joined this fabulous company. And anyway, I thought, oh, multi-level marketing, here we go. And I rang Lynn up and said, get her out. And Lynn got the information sent to her, and happened to be that week when she tried to inquire about it, that person she was trying to contact was in Melbourne from America talking on the product. She drove from Corowa 3.5 hours to Melbourne, back again, rang me the next day at Mount Hotham and said, oh, I didn't get us out. I got us in. And the product, she said that if the product did half of what she's seen in slides, and we could say a lot more back then we can now, but she said we need everybody that we care and love about to be on it, and it cost us a fortune because she put everybody on it. But the short and long of it is we've never looked back. As a result of it, the product helped us at the time when I couldn't work for 2 years. As our savings and income went down, most people would last probably a fortnight, if that. We went a bit longer, but over the 2 years, we got to the 2-year mark where our Manatech income was coming up, but our savings and everything we had at the time where we sort of got to the tipping point, I had to borrow $800 to survive, but Manatech kept growing and we never looked back. So from a business perspective and income perspective, it's a godsend. It's the fairest way of distribution. You get what you work for and the effort you put in. But it actually saved us because if it wasn't for the products, I don't think I would have been here. It's life-changing. And from the income point of view, we would have lost everything we had. I mean, we lost our savings, but you build that back up. But you know, the fact that we had an income starting to come in that matched what we were losing and then surpass it was just absolutely brilliant. You know, you couldn't speak better of it, more highly. Yeah.
Absolutely, Hank. That's excellent. Thank you so much for being here to share that.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys.
And Gary.
Good morning.
Good morning, Gary.
Can you hear me okay?
Perfect. Yep.
Yeah, because I bought this new microphone in the hope that it would make me sound a bit more like Dr. Steve Nugent. Is it working?
No, sorry.
No.
He's irreplaceable, Gary, but good try.
My story is a bit different because I never had any health challenges or anything. That's not what brought me to Manatech. My story started when I was very fortunate. I was part of the Australian skydiving team. I've been a professional skydiver for 45 years now and done over 10,000 skydives. So as part of that journey, we were very fortunate to be heavily sponsored. We got a major sponsor and suddenly we had millions of dollars. And from going from a skydiver that was, you know, going from day to day and eating whatever I liked and partying my head off and, you know, all that sort of thing, life suddenly changed because our sponsor wanted the best skydiving team in the world. And he was prepared to put money in so that we had, you know, anything that we needed. And we had a sports psychologist, and one day he heard a guy on the radio talking about memory improvement, natural memory improvement and peripheral vision. And because of what we do in competition, we make formations as fast as we can against the clock. And you don't know what those formations are going to be until the start of the competition. So you need a really, really super memory. And to be competitive, you've got to be doing about 35 formations in 35 seconds. It's quite extraordinary. So the sports psychologist, we had unlimited money, and he just said, right, get this guy in. And I think it's testament to how meeting one person in your life can completely change your life forever. Because he came in and started working with the team, and he was really into diet, and 3 of the team were coffee addicts. They weren't allowed to drink coffee anymore. He proved to us just like that our performance went significantly down. Everyone thought it went up when they had a coffee, but it didn't. And it was proven to us that it went down. So water was the only thing that we could drink, and I've pretty much only drunk water ever since. And he gave me this really badly photocopied sheet with all the additives that are in food. And I was quite shocked and saw these additives and the effects that they had. And that was another turning point. So my diet changed after that. And I became a bit of a health nut after meeting this one guy. Anyway, years went past, and I was at one of the ladies that worked for me at the skydiving centre, because I had 17 employees and 35 part-time employees, 17 full-time, which was like running an adult daycare centre. And you know, obviously with the skydiving centre, the overheads were huge, and you know, every day was full on. And she asked me if I'd heard of network marketing. And I've got an honours degree in marketing, and I'd never heard of network marketing. No, that's interesting. So I looked into it, and I thought, this is brilliant. What a fantastic business model. So I ended up joining that particular company, which I didn't like. And then I thought, well, if I look for a network marketing company with supplements, that would fit in with my sort of health focus. And they were all terrible. And I found out more and more about synthetics and all that sort of thing. And it was down that journey that I went to a talk, and I was sitting next to another guy that completely changed my life, asked me, have you ever heard of glyconutrients? No. Said, oh, it's really, really interesting, fairly new discovery. This was 20 years ago, and I was open-minded. I mean, that's such an important thing, to be open-minded. And I started looking into it, and my eyes got wider and wider. And as the more I studied glycans and glycobiology, the more I got interested in it, and thought, well, if this is true, what they're saying, then, you know, really, this is going to change the world. And being a bit of a research nut, I really did study it. And I've got things like, if you haven't seen it before, Harper's Biochemistry. Now, this book is completely full of complete scientific gobbledygook. But when you read it, you can tell straight away it's really important gobbledygook. And that just had me. And I've since then got totally, really, really involved in Mannatech over the years. And eventually the skydiving centre, well, I thought, gee, life can be easier than this. And I wanted my dream life, which was to live off the grid and grow all our own fruit and vegetables and all that sort of thing. And since the beginning of Mannatech, I've never gone a day without taking Mannatech products. And I don't know what my life would have been like had I not been taking them. So I don't have particularly a health story to share, but one where I've become that person that can be that one person that changes someone's life. And that's happened to me lots and lots of times, where I've met someone and I've said to them, have you ever heard of glyconutrients? And that one sentence has changed their life. And that's what I'm so passionate about. I can back up Hank as well on the bounce back, because I did in 1984, I had a head on in a car with a 40-ton truck, which put me in hospital for a year, and got rebuilt after that, and suffered from it. I mean, they wanted to amputate my leg, but I wouldn't sign the paperwork. So I have had the issues that went with that. And, you know, if I overdo it with my ankle, it would really, really play up. And bounce back has just been absolutely extraordinary for that. I will never miss my bounce back. And it really changed things for that. So joint health and all that sort of thing. As a testimony, that's my main testimony. My other main testimony is in 20 years, I have not been sick once. I haven't had a cold, I haven't had flu, I've been around people that have it, but hasn't affected me. Or rather, I've felt it coming on, dosed up on more Anbratos, and everything's been gone the next morning. So confident that my immune system's kicking in and doing the job that it's supposed to do. So I'm just so committed to Mannatech. It's been 20 years of being in an amazing community of intelligent people who've got the open mind to look into it, because once you go over that hurdle of looking into it, you'd have to be really dumb to not realize how important what we have is. So that's my message to people. Open your mind, look into it, give it a go, and you'll never look back. If you can, share it with people. You'll be the one person that can completely change someone's life.
What a powerful story, Gary. Thank you so much. I can third the bounce back story. I'm sure I would be a bilateral knee replacement if I didn't have bounce back. It's been amazing for me. So just to complete, I just wanted to show another slide, because we talk about the values and the ethics of Manotick. And one thing that is really important to all of us is this next slide. So we are, as a company, are partnered with a charity called M5M Foundation in the US, and we provide these nutrients that you've heard have supported all of us so amazingly to malnourished children and at-risk children around the world, mostly orphanages, but anywhere there's a feeding program, we can help. And you can see here, again, most of the stories coming out of these orphanages around behavior and ability to learn and energy levels. And some of them are like Ingrid here. So you can obviously see on the left picture of Ingrid there that she's a very malnourished child, and all the way through to starting to thrive in a matter of months. And that's happening globally. So every single time any one of us orders a product is dedicated towards a child somewhere in the world. So, and that's before profit. Okay. So this is part of this is our commitment for profit as a company. So that generates a donation to M5M Foundation every time an order is made. And especially, I've been on a monthly order for 20 some years, you know, so just think of the legacy of that for some of these children around the world. And any one of my customers, the same thing, anyone on this panel, the same. And so many of people that will be listening today who also have committed to Manotick. So really there's no downside to this company. I just like to say that, you know, whoever invited you here today, make sure you get back to them, ask questions, be open-minded like Gary has advised us all to be curious. Reflect, there's nothing to lose with that. And again, we've never harmed a soul by sharing this technology. And if you look on this page, there's so many benefits, you know, and it's up to you. What's in your heart and soul? What are you looking for? You know, and this company, it does lift others. It's lifted me. It's lifted everyone you've heard today. And anybody who commits with you will be lifted in whatever area of their life they're wanting that. So God bless you all. Thank you for being here. Huge thank you for our panelists and sharing so authentically and so openly. We deeply appreciate it. And I know it's going to make a difference to others out there. So, and next week, we have Dr. Nugent talking on the same topic. So hopefully, I mean, that's what I've requested. I'm pretty sure he said yes. He's a busy guy. But we'll be focusing on men's health from a naturopathic and PhD doctor perspective. So have a great Saturday, everyone. Thank you to all our panelists again, to Diana and Gary, and we'll see you same time next week. Bye, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for being here.